yesterday's lesson, we were working with having only one digit in our quotient. Okay? Remember, our quotient is our answer to division. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be following the same process skills, the same steps to long division. The only difference is we're going to have two digits in our quotient on top of a remainder. Okay? So how we'll do that today, again, we'll just work through a couple examples. You can pause the video, the first two I'm going to talk through. I just want you to watch them. After that, you can pause the video and work through the problems on your own to see if your answers will match my answers. Okay, so the first two you're going to watch, then I'll give two more problems, and you can work through those problems on your own, and then continue playing the video and watch the answers. Okay? So, we will start with an example, and it's the example on the top of your page, on page 134 and 135, and the problem is 467 divided by 15. So again, we have three digits in our dividend, and we have two digits in our divisor. That's the same as yesterday. We're going to follow the same steps as we were doing yesterday. Some of you use the guess and check method, where you just start with the divisor and you start taking random numbers to see what it's going to give you. Okay? And you realize, okay, 15 times 2 is 30. I'm going to try 15 times 3 and see how close that gets me to 46. Because that first question you ask yourself, does 15 go into 4? No. So I have to check, does 15 go into 46? Yes. Okay? So then, some of you may know that 15 times 3 is 45, and if you don't, it's okay to use this method here over to the side. 15 goes into 46 3 times, giving me 45. Okay? This process is not new for you. 46 minus 45 gives me 1. My next step says I have to bring down. Notice I still draw my arrow. I still line up all of my places, so I say neat and organized. Then I have to ask myself, does 15 go into 17? It does. It goes in one time. Notice I'm putting my number directly above the number I just took down in my answer. Everything is staying in a nice line. 1 times 15 is 15. I subtract and I get 2 left over. Okay, then I have to ask myself, is there anything left to bring down? No. Is my answer, or what I have left down here at the bottom, smaller than my divisor? If so, that becomes your remainder. If this number is bigger than the divisor, that's what we talk about that lets us know there's an error somewhere in our multiplication or division. Okay, so we get a final answer of 31 remainder 2. Notice the difference from yesterday. Yesterday we were getting answers like 3 remainder 2. So this is going to be the difference. Yesterday there was 1 digit. Today there's going to be 2 digits. And then sometimes you'll have a remainder and sometimes you won't. Okay, so there's one sample problem. Let's look at another one. We have 47 is our divisor, and 985 is our dividend. Okay, same process. We have to ask ourselves, how many times 47 goes into 9? Well, it goes in there 0 times. How many times does 47 go into 98? Okay? And if I use compatible numbers or that estimating and rounding that we've learned in earlier chapters, I might think of this number. Again, I'm just thinking of it. I'm estimating it. So this number is pretty close to 50. So I'm going to just make a little note to myself out to the side. 98 is pretty close to 100. And this is just getting you a starting point. If this process confuses you, go back to guessing and checking. Okay? So, then I ask myself, how many times would 50 go into 100? Well, it goes in there twice. So, I'm going to start with my original numbers. That 2, that twice, gives me a starting point to figure out how many times 47 is going to go into 98. So, out to the side, I'm going to use my original numbers, 47 times 2, 14, 1, 8, 94. Okay, I can't get any closer to 98 than to 94. 47 does not go into 94 again before it would go over 98. So, I put my 2 above my 8. Then I would take 2 times 47. I already did that math over here. It's 94. Okay? Subtract. That's the same process that you're used to. 8 minus 4 is 4. 9 minus 9 is 0. Bring down my 5. Okay? Now I have to figure out how many times does 47 go into 45. This one is a little bit tricky. We've talked about quotients in zeros in our quotients in previous lessons. So this is another one where, yes, 47 is less than 40 or more than 45, but I just brought this 5 down, so I still have to ask myself, how many times will 47 go into 45? It goes in there 0 times. Okay. 0 times 47 is 0. Now I have 45. When I subtract, I have nothing left to bring down, so my remainder would be 45. Again, with all of these problems in today's lesson, you're going to have 2 digits in your quotient that do not include the remainder. Okay? So if you would have just put 2 remainder 45 in this lesson, that would have been incorrect because we're doing 2 digits in our quotient, which kind of lets you know that you do need that reminder of a 0 in there. Okay? So remember, anytime you bring a number down, you always have to divide your divisor into that number. Okay? Alright, here's one for you to try on your own. And I'm gonna write the problem down, and then I will pause for a moment to give you a second to pause the video. Okay, I want you to pause the video. I want you to attempt this problem on your own, and then when you hit play, I will go ahead and work the problem out for you so that you can check your answer. So go ahead and pause the video now. Alright, so when we work this problem, 36 is going to go into 58 one time. If I'm not certain of that, I could have been checking my answer over here. 36 times 1 obviously gives me 36. I may still want to check to see what 36 times 2 gives me. Okay, but if I check for reasonableness and a logical answer here, I know that 36 is only going to go into 58 one time. Okay, if I really think about these numbers, because 36 is not that far from 58. 36 times 1 is 36. Subtract, I get 22. I still have to bring down my 4. Now I have to figure out how many times does 36 go into 224. Okay. If you're not certain, you can start guessing and checking over to the side. Okay. Starting with maybe 5. That gives me 180. If I compare 180 to 224, that lets me know it's probably going to go in there at least one more time. So you could add 36, just keeping in mind that really that would be the same as multiplying 36 times 6. Okay? And that gives me 216. So, it goes in there 6 times. 6 times 36 is 216. I subtract. I cannot take 4 minus 6, so I have to regroup. 2 becomes 1, 14. 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. My remainder is smaller than my divisor, so 16, remainder 8. Remember, if you want to check this answer, you take your quotient, the whole number, times the divisor, so you would take 36 times 16. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3, 19, 20, 21. Put my placeholder 0. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Then I add 6, 7, and this is 5. So then I have 576, and I'm going to add my remainder. And I get 584, which is the number that I started with. So you should have gotten problem that you're going to work on your own. Let's do 784 divided by 26. Okay, pause the video and try this on your own. Alright, you should, I'm going to do this one using compatible numbers or estimating my numbers a little bit. If I think about 26, that's really close to 25. And if I think about 780, if I look at those first two digits, 78 is really close to 75. And I'm just going to make notes to myself out here to the side. I know that 25 goes into 75 3 times. So then I'm going to go back to my original number of 26, and I'm going to multiply that times 3 to see how close I can get to my original number, the first part of this, as 78. So 6 times 3 is 18, carry my 1, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. That gives me exactly 78. So I put my 3 above the 8, 3 times 26, I did that math over here, it is 78. I subtract, I get 0, I bring down my 4. 26 goes into 4 0 times, and this is where some of you might make that mistake. You might just automatically assume that 4 is your remainder without multiplying it through. Remember, anytime we bring down a number, I still have to put my divisor into that number. 0 times 26 is 0. Subtract, I get 4. So 4 does end up being my remainder, but I still have to multiply it through whenever I bring it down. So you should have gotten an answer of 30 remainder 4. If you would like a couple more examples, please raise your hand to make sure that you can work with Ms. Orgus or the sub, or Mrs. Washington will be in here this afternoon also. Any of them can help you to make sure that you're understanding this process. You do have homework, and what I want you to do for homework is in your textbook, and that's going to be textbook page 134 through 135. You're going to do 11 through 14, and you're going to do 24, 25, and 27. So textbooks page 134 and 135, you're doing problems 11 through 14, and then you're doing 24, 25,